What's good, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? JDaisy here with the JDaisy Gaming Channel. What game are we talking about today? We are talking about Domina. I'm going to pronounce that as Domina. That's what it looks like. Domina. This is a little 8-bit game, came out last year. The developers call it Acquire, Train, Upgrade, and Whip Your Brutish Gladiators towards bloody victory in this ruthless arenas of ancient Rome. And as you can see, and as it says, this is a gladiator game. You pretty much train gladiators and send them to fight to their death. And it's really good. I really enjoyed it. So there is both the kind of like a campaign and an endless mode. And the campaign I went through till kind of the end sequence in about a night. It took a couple hours. It wasn't overly insane. And the endless mode, just as it says, endless. But the premise of the game is you are a rich noble in Rome, and you are training gladiators to go fight for you in sport. You give them armor, you give them training, you give them food and water and all this, and you can upgrade your little house or ranch or whatever it is to provide those things. I always got a doctor and a blacksmith so that they were always healed and so that they were always armor was always at max capacity. And you also need the armor to, if you use gladiators that use nets, that you have to rebuy the nets every round, and he will auto do that. You also have a guy that will train them in certain aspects. You know, it will make them swing faster, will make them not as tired and such. And for full disclosure, you can get an upgrade that allows you to control the gladiators. I never did that. I felt that just kind of took away from the premise of the game, which is more of a management style, and more of a you train them and send them out. So I never controlled any of them. The only thing I did was train them. You kind of pick which ones you want to favor, and by that I mean you pick which ones you want to give your best armor and your most training and send out to the most fights, because those will give them money and gold and such. And sometimes they will even ask for their freedom, because these are slaves. And you can either grant that and it'll raise your morale, or you can deny that and it'll lower the morale of your fellow gladiators. I never got to the point where they were ever mad at me, so I can't really tell you what happens then, because I always had enough wine and gold and give them rooms. I rule with a soft fist, per se. You can also, so in the campaign mode, you're always working towards this like big giant gladiator fight that is in this fall. So gladiator fights will just come up. There's always a counter coming up that'll say, hey, this next thing, and it'll pick a component, and then it'll kind of randomly shuffle for who you're going to be fighting, how many people you can use and such. But they also have the map of Rome that if you see keep popping up, that is the different challenges you can go after. There are like high level bosses you can go after, and each one is very challenging. I managed to do about half of them, and they are challenging. You have to make sure your warriors are the best they can be, and ready to tackle that. And the end goal that I faced was the big gladiator battle. Was you start off with a small amount of your people, and then you start off with it just kind of ends up as a all brawl. So with me, I kind of failed pretty quick in that because I only focused on about 4 gladiators, and the rest were just kind of there. Either I would free people that I got that I didn't need, or I just kind of have them training because it didn't cost anything to train them other than food and water. And that bit me in the butt at the end, because then when it came to an all-in-all battle, they weren't armored, they weren't protected, they were pretty much nothing, cannon fodder per se. So on the second playthrough, I have to remember that everyone needs to be ready to go at all times. Not to just, you don't want to just focus on one person. You'll kind of end up doing that, but you need to vary it out. But it's a great little management game. I want to try it in endless mode just to see what that's like. But like I said, I played about 3-4 hours. I'll check here on Steam as I talk. It said I played 102 minutes, so about an hour and a half, and I got through the full story campaign mode of the game. It is $9.99 on Steam. That's a pretty good price for it. I mean, that 102 minutes or whatever it was, I enjoyed it thoroughly the whole time. I felt pretty in control of everything. I didn't run into any bugs or anything like that. It handled really well. It has great replayability, so you can go back through and try different strategies, different things, that you learn. There's two nobles you're always trying to impress, and they give you certain buffs as far as that goes. But it is a great little game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought you guys would want to see it. Sorry this isn't a longer view, but it's kind of a shorter little game. I'd recommend it though. But as always, that's just my opinion. We're all in this one together. I'll see you in the next one.